we're going to be focusing on is AB 2499 by Assembly Member Pilar Schiavo. And this bill addresses protections around safe leave. The Stronger California Advocates Network consists of over 60 organizations from all over California. And every year we come together to support a legislative agenda with both bills and budget proposals to advance economic security for women and workers and families throughout the state of California. So I'm really excited to be speaking today with Shazi Kamali, who is an attorney at Legal Aid at Work, a core member of the Stronger California Advocates Network, and also an organizational co-sponsor of the bill we're going to talk about today, AB 2499. So Shazi, this bill is going to take effect January 1, 2025, but it strengthens existing law that already is on the books around safe leave. Can you just talk to us a little bit about what we mean when we say safe leave?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jessica, for the great introduction. So safe leave is job protected leave. It's time off of work for survivors of domestic violence and or crime or violence or threats of violence to take actions that they need to for their own safety, health, or well-being. So some examples of the kinds of things survivors might need time off for are seeking a restraining order or needing time off because they need to move for safety reasons, seeking out psychological services or medical attention. All these, it's really important to make sure that people have access to safe leave because statistics show that 1 in 6 victims of violent crime report losing their job or being demoted because they need to take time off following victimization.
I'm really happy that you provide that statistic because, as I mentioned, Stronger California is about advancing economic security for women and families and communities. And one core aspect of our fight for economic security is that it's a key strategy to combating domestic violence. We know that survivors of domestic violence often cannot leave an abusive situation or sometimes have to return to one because of a lack of economic security. And so one kind of driving force on the Stronger California agenda has been to promote safety for violence survivors and survivors of other types of violence. So this bill builds on existing law. Can you talk a little bit about what some of the new protections under AB 2499 are in regards to leave?
Yeah, one major change that is coming with AB 2499's passage is the first thing it does it is it expands who's considered a survivor and thus eligible for this leave. Previously, it was only for survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking, but now it's been expanded to include anyone who fits into those categories, as well as anyone who is a survivor of a crime or anything involving bodily violence or a threat of violence. Secondly, it adds a few additional reasons why a survivor can take leave. So survivors can get leave for recovery from injuries, seeking legal or mental health help, to obtain services from a shelter or program, to participate in a legal proceeding, to seek childcare for safety reasons, for moving, and in some instances for childcare. Another thing that this bill does that is really important is that it allows family members of survivors, including chosen or extended family, to access time off to assist survivors, which is completely new with this law. So family members, like I said, including chosen or extended family, can take time off work to assist a survivor who needs help with moving or seeking services. Um, this is really important because for some survivors, they might not learn that they have the right to take safe leave from work, and or they may not be comfortable trying to get help on their own. So having a parent or a sibling or an adult child be there for them can really make a big difference. And then the last thing I'll say is that previously, survivors of domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking had the right to request an accommodation at work or change at work for their own safety. So this would be things like moving their desk to the back so it's not in the front, or changing their phone number. And the 2499 now expands again who can get an accommodation at work and includes family members of survivors so that they can also get an accommodation at work that they might need for their own safety.
Thank you. I know we hear from survivors of domestic violence and sometimes other types of violence who, as you said, might know that they have the right to take time off work and not be fired, sometimes paid, sometimes unpaid, but maybe just don't have the support they need to actually take steps to get safe. And so having this provision in the law, again, taking effect January 1 of next year, 2025, is going to be so critical that a worker who needs to get a restraining order or some other type of safety measure can bring along a loved one, and that loved one can get time off work to help their family member. It's just such a critical step forward to ensuring that survivors really do get the support and safety they need. We know that workers often fear retaliation for asserting really any workplace right, but can you talk to us about how, under this law, workers are protected against retaliation for asserting their rights in regards to safe leave?
Retaliation is prohibited. It's illegal for an employer to take any kind of negative action against a worker who needs safe leave or discloses their status as a survivor to their employer. Um, because of AB 2499, now family members of survivors who disclose and ask for time off or an accommodation at work are also protected from retaliation. And retaliation is defined really broadly. It's not just being fired, it can be anything that is a material change at work, like getting demoted, getting your pay reduced, getting your hours cut. All of these things are things that employers are not allowed to do because of your request for safe leave or because you've told them that you're a survivor or a family member of a survivor.
Thank you. Yes, we know that workers, sometimes there are kind of implicit retaliatory actions that are very clearly retaliatory, such as being fired, but we know that often employers can retaliate in more subtle ways. So it's important that workers know, and now their families members know, that you are protected against retaliation, even in those maybe not so obvious ways for asserting your under these laws. Okay, is there anything that a survivor who needs to seek safety, or starting next year, a family member who is going to accompany their loved one to get safety should know about asserting their rights under these laws?
Yeah. So, firstly, the worker who needs to take safe leave for themselves for domestic violence related, or sorry, for domestic violence or crime related reasons, they don't need to disclose the specifics of why they need leave. They don't need to explain what happened to them or go into details or provide a police report or anything like that. They can if they want to, but in order to get safe leave and qualify for it, all they have to do is tell their employer that they need to use self leave, they need to use safe leave, and they can provide self-certification in the form of a signed statement saying that they are a survivor of domestic violence or crime or whatever their situation is. All they need to do is have a statement that says that and then sign it at the bottom. And secondly, if a worker thinks their rights are being violated, either because of retaliation or because they're not being given the safe leave that they need, they can file a claim with the California Civil Rights Department. And so going to the California Civil Rights Department is a great place to start if you think that may be happening. You can file an intake form on there. There is a statute of limitations or like a deadline that you have to file with the Civil Rights Department if you think that you have been retaliated against or your rights have been interfered with. They have to file with the Civil Rights Department within 3 years of when the employer did the violation.
Great, thank you. So we've talked about the new protections that AB 2499 provides to survivors as well as their family members. And this bill will affect January 1, 2025. And the kind of core pieces we want to leave people with are: one, that under current law, workers who are victims of domestic violence can take leave, either unpaid leave or paid sick days, for reasons related to seeking safety, a restraining order, or seeking psychological services, etc. Under this new law, starting in January 2025, now a family member, and importantly, that includes chosen or extended family, can also take time off work, either or under paid sick days, to support their loved one in getting sick. And both of these workers are protected from retaliation if they seek to take this type of safe leave, or if they have already taken it and they believe they're experiencing retaliation, and they can go to the California Civil Rights Department for additional help if any type of retaliation may be occurring. And again, that deadline is 3 years. Thank you for pointing that out. So this bill is a really important next step in our fight to ensure that survivors of domestic violence, but also of other violent crime, have the access to the support they need to get safe. We invite you to visit our Stronger California Advocates Network website at strongerca.org to look at all of the various bills we have passed over the past 10 years in support of survivors, but also in support of other workers and women and communities throughout California to ensure that everyone can lead an economically secure life. So please check out the Stronger California website to sign up for alerts and ways that you can support these types of bills going forward. And please share this information with others so that people are aware of these new rights starting in 2025 for survivors of domestic violence and other violent crimes, as well as their family members.